Good morning, guys. Good morning, Dominica. Good morning to the rest of the world connected. Good morning. I'm back again. Yes, I am back again on your radio station. Good morning. Jael Joseph here. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Dominica.
Radio,
good morning
Woman
to
to
the rest
Woman
of the world.
show. I'm going to be joined by
Good morning. I'm back again. Yes, I am back again on your radio station. Good morning.
We apologize
Jael Joseph here.
for the late start.
Vibes Radio,
We had a bit
Woman
of
to Woman show.
issues
I'm
logging
going
in.
to be joined
happens all the time,
by
right?
some
Another
issue always has to
co-host
happen,
in just a little
especially
bit.
when you're dealing
So
with
we're just waiting
technology.
to connect. We apologize,
But we're here.
for the late start.
We're ready.
We had a bit
For
of
today, it's Monday,
issues
and I hope
logging
you
in,
guys had
that
a
happens all
rested
the time,
weekend.
right? Some
issue always has to happen.
I didn't.
Especially when you're dealing with
I hope you guys had a
technology.
rested weekend.
But we're here.
and you're ready for
we're ready
for
today. It's Monday, and I hope you guys
it's
had a rested
Monday.
weekend.
Yes,
Um,
and we want to say good morning to the
I
folks.
Locked in on the frequency.
Hope you guys had a rested weekend and you're ready for the work week. It's Monday. Yes, and we want to say good morning to the folks locked in on the frequencies 99.5, 94.5, 90.1 FM. Those of you on social media, Vibes Radio. If you're locked in on YouTube, good morning to you. If you're locked in on Digicel channel 57, good morning to you, and thank you very much for staying tuned and waiting for the Woman to Woman show. Trudy's gonna be joining us in just a little bit. So Trudy Christian will be joining us, and that is the co-host who will be joining us right here live. And we're getting all set up. I could see folks at the studio, Vibes Radio studio, locked in, putting up their gang signs. I don't know if that's acceptable, all those gang signs I see going up. I want to say good morning. Guys, you need to come on social media if you're not on social media, or if you're not on digital channels, so you can see what's going on. You know, it's always a blast. It's always a fun time. Guys, I just want to get straight into it and welcome the doctor who is going to be joining us. Dr. Jael Joseph is going to be joining us. She is a trauma and acute care surgeon out at NYU. So it's a big deal to have her here because she is super, super, super busy, might I add. And she's taken time out to speak with us, speak to the Dominican public, speak to the rest of the world, because the rest of the world is connected here. And we're so excited to have her on. It took quite a bit of work to get her on, and we're proud of the work that we did in ensuring that she could come on and share with you this morning. So don't want to wait any longer. Want to kind of get into the swing of things. I see our production is standing by. The production assistants are the production team standing by with their mask and everything. It's so cool to see them. I'm so glad I don't have to wear a mask. Oh my God, I'm so glad I don't have to wear a mask. And they're matching. I swear they're twinning. I didn't get the memo. Next time, send me the memo. I did not get the memo. All right. So let's connect with Dr. Joseph, who is connecting with us in New York City. Good morning to you, doctor.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. This is I hadn't heard of this show, and this is a real privilege to be here. I'm proud of what we're doing as Dominicans. It's excellent. Thank you. I wanted to just make a quick clarification. I am part of the NYU Langone Enterprise. Specifically, I'm at NYU Winthrop, which is on the island. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for me. And I was about to get into that. So you could explain a little bit about your role and what you do, what you're doing right now.
So I am the chief of trauma and acute care surgery. That's the name of the division at NYU Winthrop, which is part of the NYU Langone Enterprise, which consists of the NYU in the city and the Brooklyn Langone in Brooklyn. And we are out on Mineola Long Island. As the chief of trauma and acute care surgery, I serve as the trauma medical director, also as the director of the surgical ICU. And so that allows me intimate knowledge of this recent pandemic that I know that we have all been privy to. I am primarily a surgeon, but I am boarded in critical care surgery as well. So I'm double boarded. And so, yeah, but I am a Dominican by birth and by heart and by soul. And, you know, that's my home.
Thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us here on the Woman 200. Trudy is also joining us. Hi, Trudy.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Dr. Joseph.
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Joseph. How are you doing during this pandemic? How are you doing physically?
Well, thank you for asking that. This is an experience I don't think that anyone has ever gone through. It's certainly um, the prior pandemics, Ebola and MERS, were nothing compared to this. How am I doing physically? I'm lucky. I have a very, very supportive family, and I have a supportive husband. So when I leave here, I take everything off, and I become, I joke around. I go from being the person in charge to the person who needs to be told what to do. So, but it has taken its toll like everything else. It's exhausting physically, it's exhausting emotionally. But I think I'm luckier than most people.
That's good. That's good to know that you're doing good and that you have such a good, because that's so important to have a support system
Right.
around you. Now, after so many months, this virus is mostly unknown, right?
Mhm.
Because we still don't really know. So many new symptoms are being reported. We're hearing that how severely some children have reportedly been affected by this, when early reports the many carriers that we see. What's new when it comes to COVID, in your opinion, in your expert opinion?
So I'm going to do a disclaimer to state that I am not the expert, and I don't, frankly, don't believe anybody is. And I am not a virologist, so I don't study viruses. What I do is take care of critically ill patients, and what I have had the privilege of doing is taking care of patients who are I'm just put something up, taking care of patients who suffered from this disease. What we know as a medical community is that this is an mRNA virus. And, you know, we're made up of DNA. This is a single-stranded mRNA virus that gains access into our cells by linking to certain receptors. And in so doing causes myriad of symptoms. Initially, it was thought that the primary presenting symptoms were cough and fever and the general feeling of shortness of breath. But we've seen other symptoms, which include GI symptoms like diarrhea. We've seen that it's very interesting that some people have talked about anosmia, like not being able to smell, not being able to taste. I have one staff member whose only symptom was lost taste and smell and had a fever for like 3 days and then got better and tested positive. And you mentioned children. Initially, it was thought that children were not affected. So there are a couple of things about that. One, the data from China was, how shall we put this, was not entirely transparent. So the reports that children were not being affected was not in retrospect entirely complete. And so children were being affected, although to a lesser degree. What we have seen, and in particular in New York, last check that I have was about 90 patients or so who pediatric patients who present with sort of a disease looking like kwashiorkor, if you would, an inflammatory process. So they're not presenting like the typical way that the adults are presenting. They're presenting with a sort of inflammatory response, similar to what the kwashiorkor disease would look like. And it's not well understood right now, and I do not take care of pediatric patients, but that is my understanding of the process.
Trudy?
Does that answer your question?
Yes. I was hoping for Trudy to take. Trudy, go ahead.
I'm on. I just didn't want to rudely interrupt since I
Okay.
you know I joined. I I joined in kind of late, but it was so interesting to listen to the whole weird signs that we're seeing in children. I know a lot of people have been, very curious about these outcomes being experienced by children because people, particularly in the education sector, kind of felt, children were going to be safe from this thing. But I wanted to ask Dr. Joseph, what in terms of treatment options available for patients? I know that might not be your direct area,
Mhm.
but what do we see being available in terms of treatment for COVID-19 patients?
So I'm going to tell you, having taken care of the patient, having been at the front line myself, and as several other medical providers feel that there is no treatment per se, that what we do is support the patient until they go through their course. And there are things that we can do to mitigate certain symptoms. But taking a step back, and with regards to treatment, the most recent drug that has shown more promising uh, results is the remdesivir, which is an antiviral medication. And that drug appears to, according to as yet unpublished results, shorten the length of time that the patient has the disease. So just hear me out for a second. It shortens it, right? It doesn't fix it. It doesn't cure it. It shortens it. Initially, when the study was supposed to be initiated, it was actually designed to show mortality benefit. And then, so halfway through the study, they changed what their outcome was to looking to shorten. Now, you can do that in studies where you change your what your actually primary outcome is, but it does make it a little bit suspect. And so at this time, remdesivir is the most promising. The second thing is convalescent plasma. And what that is taking the plasma of people who have recovered and actually transfusing that into patients who as yet have had not had significant demise. So those are the two things that are most promising. Outside of that, I know you're probably going to ask about hydrochloroquine, so I just get it off the table. The whole rush about hydrochloroquine was a small study that came out in France at the very start of our experience here with the disease, where they did a combination of hydrochloroquine and azithromycin, which is an antibiotic, and thought that they saw some benefit. And if you read the study, it really just states that they noticed a decrease in viral load. And if you read the study further, you realize that their control arms were a little bit questionable, that most of the people in that group actually either fell, lost to follow up. One person died, and it's a very tiny number. I don't dispute them publishing this because it is important at the start of a pandemic that you get everything out there. But the idea that hydrochloroquine was the um,
The drug, the
is
cure all.
it is not. It is absolutely not. In fact, at the start of our experience here at NYU Winthrop, at NYU Enterprise, we use hydrochloroquine and erythromycin. Then we stopped it because there's actually an association of a QTC prolongation, cardiac issues. And then we stopped the erythromycin. Then we stopped the hydrochloroquine altogether. So we don't even use that as a primary drug with the patient coming in. So there's that. Now, I was curious, and please interrupt me because I talk a lot. I was very intrigued by our experience in Dominica, which I thought was just magnificent because I, couldn't breathe for days because my father is home. He's 86 years old. He's probably gonna kill me because he doesn't want anybody to know his age, but he's he is gonna kill me. But he's older, and and I have no way of getting to him because all the borders are were closed. And so I was watching this very closely, and I was in contact with people, other physicians in Dominica, and I was fascinated at how well we did. I think that we did some things very well, which are testing, tracing down contacts, isolating people immediately, putting everybody under lockdown. I think those are the things that really differentiated us and help us to, really control this so very quickly. I was also very intrigued that they used certain drugs, Pepsid, Tamiflu, and seemed to have a response. In
Ah,
vitro, Tamiflu did not seem to make a difference with this virus. So um, I really think it's the methods that were put into place that really kind of impacted how well we did. And as far, because, basically what I'm saying is that I don't think anybody has a magic solution, you know.
Right. And it's interesting because, like, I was going to veer off onto this. What did the Ministry of Health, do that in your belief, that was so good? Because right now we're at 0 active cases, which is amazing. And from what you've said, it seems like the primary healthcare really was the trick. That strong focus
Yes,
on contact tracing, which is, a function of primary healthcare, so that we didn't get to this overwhelming of the secondary healthcare system, as we see elsewhere.
right.
So,
Absolutely. I mean, in the US, in New York, with everything at our disposal, we were crushed. Can you
right,
imagine what would have happened? A little tiny island. I can't even wrap my head around it. So I think the aggressive measures that were taken really made the difference. Some of my friends there have argued, well, they needed to close the borders sooner, and maybe, I don't know, but I do know once things were initiated and once their measures were put into place, that we did a phenomenal job. And it's not over yet. I don't want anybody to start like relaxing, but
I know.
I mean, we have done an amazing job. I actually go around boasting to people. The other thing I do is that somebody sent me a picture of the one of the healthcare providers. I think it was a physician, fully gowned, and I
Hmm.
show that to them and say, this is what they're doing in an island with like 70,000 people, and here we are with our mask and just the coverall. And I mean, we can do that in Dominica. Maybe we need to really think about that here as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first rule has become the third rule.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Have you had any experience with any acute care or in terms of managing patients at even like PMH, and if so, how are things different here?
So I have not. I can tell you that I have been doing this for, well, let's not counting training. I've been doing this since as an attending since 2004, and I have actually in many different ways said, I'll come home. I will, I've offered my services, and I've not had the privilege of actually having anybody take me up on that. So I've not taken care of anybody at PMH. Um, so I would not be, I have my opinion about certain things, but I don't want to comment since I have not personally done this. And I don't think that's the fair assessment for me to make if I have not been there, personally.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
Because I'm
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, because apart from the COVID-19, scenario, which, we're discussing, but it's because of your background, the acute care aspects of our system, is something that I really was interested in. And you said you haven't had experience working here in PMH, well, Dominica China Friendship Hospital right now. But, there's so much negativity as it relates to people's impression of acute care in Dominica. It's like, and I'm not going to lie, Jael, you can tell me if you feel the same way, but I sometimes say, if something happens to me, just leave me out of the hospital. So there's a lot of, bad people's impressions can be kind of negative as it relates to acute care. So it was kind of when I found out that you were going to be on, something that was of interest to me was how would you make what recommendations in terms of some of these acute care complaints that you've heard? What type of recommendations or suggestions would you
So
make?
I want to ask you what you mean by acute care complaints.
Like I mean, people talk about going into accident and emergency, the
Okay.
accident and emergency room, having to wait forever, things not being considered emergency, the whole triaging thing maybe being not too. So these type of things, these type of complaints.
So I think, okay, it's a couple of things. I've heard them. I've heard those comments from my own family. I think it's unfortunate. because you have to trust your healthcare system. For it to work, you have to trust it. And when people say things like, I don't want to go because something's going to happen, that also translates into people probably seeking help too late. And that means that they're more likely to have a negative outcome versus if they had sought out help a little bit earlier. On the one hand, we have social medicine at home, and that's the benefit. It means everybody gets treated. On the other hand, we have social medicine at home, and it means that there isn't really the finesse that goes along with it. Now, as a trauma and acute care surgeon, as a chief of trauma, we are beholden to certain rules, certain regulations about a host of things, and which include the time that somebody has to wait if they have had an injury, how the person gets transported, what time how are they seen, how are they tested. And a lot of that is founded in the principle of ATLS, which is the Advanced Trauma Life Support System, which is something I've wanted to bring to Dominica since I started on this journey. I believe that we have an opportunity in the Caribbean itself to have a centralized trauma center. And that's sort of my dream. And I don't know if I'll ever realize it because you get caught up in life, where we really sort of triage and identify people who need higher levels of care, um, uh, people who need to be in certain places. For instance, if you don't have a neurosurgeon, then this island probably would have a neurosurgeon, and you can have this person transported in a certain way. Because part of what we do in the whole trauma system, if you would, is that we have modes of transportation. So we have helicopters. If a person needs to be somewhere else where they cannot allow them to, where they cannot treat them, they're taken elsewhere. I also want to push back a little bit, and this is not directed at you, at the state of the hospital, in the sense that there are places in rural America where it's actually much, much worse, right? The opportunity is that there are other places in America where you can get the level of care that you need, where you can get it at that hospital, wherever that is. So this is why I think we need to actually, as a system, as a set of islands, what do you call it, CARICOM, whatever, work together to really kind of support each other. Because I don't think any one island has a GDP that's going to support a trauma system, because for you to have a trauma system is a lot of money. And I don't think any one country can do that on its own. I think it needs to support. And again, I've kind of rambled on.
That I'm glad that you actually say that, because that's one of the things that I feel like I've advocated for, not just for where trauma is concerned, but in general, that the Caribbean needs to start operating more as one unit instead of all these different, because again, the population of all the islands, again, the GDP, again, so many different factors to be considered. And I mean, we see even in Dominica, people get air ambulance out to Martinique and Guadeloupe, but then there's a cost associated with that. If the company doesn't have the funds, they don't transport it. Absolutely. They don't have insurance. So many things. So many things.
My father, back in 2005, suffered a massive heart attack, and we were lucky to be able to transport him to Martinique and get him to get stents and things of that. Oh, he's going to kill me. He's so going to kill me. But
you're so dead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But the point is that we were privileged enough to be able to take care of him. That shouldn't be the case, right? I mean, we're better than this. We're very good about helping each other. When there's a hurricane, we all flying with each other. Well, let's take it a little step further, and let's just kind of, let's do this. And I very much am interested in doing something like that. It's probably going to be my retirement plan. I don't know.
I'm all about the one Caribbean thing for everything, because I think we benefit in terms of the economy, in terms of, not just health, be the culture, be tourism. Like, we all need to have one unified response in dealing with different things.
Even disaster response too. That's something that I felt we could collaborate on as a region.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we kind of sort of do, but when it gets to a point where you need help.
Right.
Why don't just all of
the
us
disaster.
It all the time. It all the time. And I mean, you know, this maybe we're talking about utopia here, but I think it can be done. I think there's enough of us, the younger generation. I use that in quotation marks because my sister doesn't think I'm young anymore. Yeah, she goes after me. I think we're enough of us where we really want something like this, and we could consider. You know, I don't know where to start. So, is there somebody out there who has a way to start? You know, I'm on board. You know, so yeah.
Now, for some patients, will deal with victims of intimate partner violence. Do you manage these patients differently as you would? And is there any set way to identify these patients, and how does that work?
So that's a great question. The interesting thing is, do you recognize? I mean, I'm sorry, not the interesting. The question is, do you recognize these patients? And by that, here's what I mean. So there are patients who are obviously, they come in, they suffered, they're the victims of intimate partner violence, and you know this. And there are people who come in and you don't realize that what had the injuries that they've had. And this is actually where my area of focus is, where we as the healthcare providers, we have an opportunity to identify these people and have an intervention before it happens. So as a general rule, anybody who comes in to the emergency department, and I just want to be clear because we always get mixed up, trauma is not an emergency medicine physician. We're just trauma, we're surgeons. But anybody who comes to the emergency department gets asked, you know, do you feel safe at home? So there are certain questions that these persons are asked. If it is identified that this person is a victim of intimate partner violence, then there's information that's offered to them. You provide them support. Social work gets involved. We try to, if needed, get them placed. I've had patients who have been shot, stabbed, killed. You know, one of my most traumatic events in my career was an event not in New York, at a different, actually it was in New Jersey where I used to work before, where a mother was leaving because he was abusive, and she left 3 children and a cousin with him, and he shot them all, and then set fire to the house, and then turned the gun on himself. And I had to take care of all these people, and won't go into details, but it can be quite dramatic, quite traumatic. How do I treat these people differently? Obviously, you want to have empathy for everyone, but you are especially sensitive towards that. You want to emphasize it's not your fault. It's actually a syndrome that occurs. You hear a lot of, oh, she's going back or whatever. It's a syndrome. People feel helpless. They feel hopeless, and we can assist with getting them out of that hopeless mentality. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, of course. I want to probably go and get a little personal with you because we didn't start with the personal aspect. You're Dominican, and you mentioned your dad. You mentioned so many things. Can you give us a little bit of background as to where you grew up in Dominican, just for the folks who are listening to the public? Because I'm so proud as a Dominican when I see.
Thank you.
Add to it, you have my last name, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think we must be related.
Family.
Right. So my father is from St. Joseph. My mother is from Marigot. And I don't know how they met. My father was a police officer, and you know how these police officers are. And police
officers.
Pardon?
Is that shade for the police officers?
That's shade. I'm throwing shade. He moved up in the ranks. My father is an amazing human being. He moved up in the ranks. He was deputy chief of police when he left the police force. He's become a coroner and a magistrate. And I had to literally ask him to retire at 80 years old, which, he's totally still with all his faculties and everything is totally intact. He's one of the smartest people that I know. The reason I talk with my father is because my mother died when I was, I just started college, and it was very, it still affects us all. My mother was a saint. It was her idea. I came you can't see it now, but you guys can see.
Big hands.
Yeah, I have big hands. And I came into the house one day crying. I was about 7 or something. And my mother says to me, why are you crying, child? You're going to be a surgeon or a pianist. And I played the piano. She sent me to piano lessons. And I quit when I was 14 because everybody else was doing something else. But I always said I was going to be a surgeon, and that's where I got the idea from. And at about 16, I saw blood and almost fainted. And I called Auntie Carissa, Dr. Etienne, who's my godmother, and I said to her, "How am I going to be a surgeon? I can't stand the sight of blood." And she said, "Child, you'll get over it." And I did. I did. And so that's where the whole idea of being a surgeon. But I grew up in Canefield. We lived in Goodwill until I was about 1.5, and I grew up in Canefield. I was the oldest of both my parents. And I have a brother who is my hero, my younger brother. And my younger sister is a lawyer out in California. I also have other siblings. My oldest sister, Brunette, who grew up with us, she's our glue. And then I have Marilyn, and my father has another son who lives in Dominica, Albert, right now. We found out about him later. My father didn't know about him. He is just a tremendous person. And as I said, I'm just very lucky. I just think that I have amazing friends and amazing family, and I'm very, very lucky in that we fight, but the four of us always kind of come back together, Brunette, Rowena, Wenmouth, and I, and then now that we brought the others into the fold, and Marilyn, Albert, that kind of thing. So that's my story. Does that answer your question?
I have another question. I didn't get the part of the story where what for the school system, how far did you go through the Dominican school system?
Oh, I went to I did St. Martin's School as
okay.
Although my brother and sister, Rowena and Wenmouth, did convent. They always tell me I am not one of them. But
there's that battle going on in Dominic.
So I did St. Martin's School. Then I was number 2 in the common entrance, and I went to convent high school, and then I went to sixth form college, and then I came. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Dominicans like to know the high school history and the primary school.
Let me tell you something. You have no idea, or maybe you do. Like, we are so blessed with the education, at least when I was there, system, because I came to college, and my friend Jillian and I, Jillian Southwell is also a physician. We lived together and in New York, and we did college in 3 years. We didn't do summer school. We didn't do like anything. We just did, And why did we do that? Well, for me, because the money was running out and I had to get it done quickly. But what we got in high school on sixth form, just like, I was, on the dean's list. Our education is just outstanding.
I completely agree. Like, people still they still tell me, "Are you sure? Why are you taking 6 courses when everybody's taking?"
Yeah, I know. That's what they try to tell us. They try to tell us I'm taking courses. And they're like, "Yeah, we're taking these courses, so whatever."
Yeah, because my 6 courses amount to 10 because there's it's actually 10 courses. And they're like, they don't understand, and I'm like, "Yo, y'all haven't been raised in the Caribbean, eh?"
Yeah,
like,
y'all not the Caribbean. Yeah. This is like nothing, So. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Joseph, thank you so very much. I know you're super busy. You had to literally run off from a meeting in order to be here with us, and we truly appreciate it.
My pleasure. I love this idea of woman to woman. I think this is fantastic.
And we hope you come on again. We hope if you could come on and probably we talk on a different level or a different topic.
Hopefully I won't say too much about Daddy because he'll find me.
I think he'll be looking for you after this show.
He's our hero.
He's proud of you, I'm sure, and he's not gonna get upset at you. He's gonna be like, "Oh my doctor!" He'll forget you mentioned his age. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. All right, you guys, I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.
Guys, you just she's gone. Trudy.
Hi.
It's working. How are you, Trudy?
I'm good. I had a little technical difficulty getting in, but I'm happy I'm on, Jael. I was worried for a moment.
I could see it in your eyes. You're there in the lobby. Trudy, be a pair. But even when you're talking to her, you were sipotein because you're like, don't cut off.
Yeah, I'm like, not today. Wrong day.
We're gonna be joined by the production team who's standing by. So we're gonna just get them on because we have like a full house. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi. And their mic is on mute.
Can you see us? Can you hear me? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. We can hear you.
Awesome.
Let's
We can.
around a bit. Trying to move things around so I can see everybody. Give everybody like, yes, there we go.
I think these two ladies plan their callers. What's going on with that?
Let me tell you. We didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo.
Like, what's up with that?
What's going on with that?
Oops.
Well coordinated.
Well coordinated. Look quite nice.
I'm so not happy with that. Next time, give us the memo, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, you can hear us because we can't hear you.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear
Yes.
you. So, how was everyone's weekend?
Busy. Mine was busy but wonderful. Thank you.
It was good. Quiet.
Queen, did you do something to your hair?
Yes.
What did you do to your hair, Queen?
She made it queenly.
You had... All right, so whoever wants to start can go ahead and take it away. I know Cesarean has been waiting for a little while. So.
No, I think Queen has it.
Yeah, Queen. I think Queen. You have to lead it.
Yeah.
Queen, right?
Yeah. So, Jael, we just wanted to come on today, first of all, to say thank you for last week and past 2 weeks for holding on the fort and the special for the special edition of Woman to Woman. You did such a fantastic job. We were really able. Our director is here. We were really able to bring on some work together to bring on some amazing guests, some amazing people, and who have wonderful messages, good information that we as women could relate to, and also just share. Not only to Dominica, but our feedback is that we were being listened to regionally and internationally. I mean, we brought on people as far as South Africa onto the station, so South Africa was connected, and I'm really happy that we were able to achieve what we set out to achieve for the past 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to working with this team of women. I mean, we're not fully there yet. We will say later on what's to come, but
Right.
I'm really excited to work with this team of women. We have been at it for how long? Past 2 weeks? 2 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah, pretty much 2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks discussing. So whilst I was assisting Jael, we're in the background trying to find the direction that we want to continue on. Trudy, let me just say welcome to Woman. And I was trying to tell you earlier on happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Hi.
Happy birthday to Happy birthday
To you. Happy birthday to you, Trudy.
Enjoy.
birthday, dear Trudy. Happy
Birthday to you.
birthday.
Thank you.
Don't put the two people who can't sing together, okay?
Yo, I cannot sing, but I'm always the first one that wants to sing happy birthday.
You did well.
No, but definitely happy birthday, Trudy. Welcome. I want to just say from behind the scenes, think that I know that JL has been doing a phenomenal job, very impressive. It makes me wonder why she even thought she could just get away. At the last show, I heard her saying, "I don't know what's happening on Monday." Well, guess
Yeah.
what? You
I heard that too.
okay, Jael, it's official.
I
And
didn't know what was happening on Monday. Okay.
so
That,
it's Monday, okay, everybody, it's official. And I think you and Trudy, you make an excellent team. I'm pumped about the ideas that have been floating around. And I think women, I know women have so much to say, and this is going to be a dynamic duo. And I just really want to let you know that you are special. You both are special. But Jael, I really appreciate what you have done over the past few days and weeks. It's 2 weeks, but like 1,000 man hours.
Yeah.
You know, you have your two sons, you have you have your business, and so it's amazing that you've been able
and
to.
school. I've been in school too, you know.
Did say school, but and school.
Please, school is so much work. I'm gonna die.
That's why I
No,
said
you
it's
won't. You won't die.
hours. And so with Trudy coming on board, I think this is just so much high energy, and I'm so excited. So well done, guys. And I mean, we'll get to speak about the vision and mission in a little bit, but I just wanted to put that out there that I really admire and appreciate you guys.
Thank you. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
it was purely a fluke me being on, in terms of staying on. I know, Mr. Lawrence had this idea that he wanted me to help out with, and I'm always willing to help whatever I see fit. I have no problem with helping. And I looked at this as an opportunity because I am in school doing journalism and all of these things to do with journalism. And it's good to have an outlet that you can actually, I mean, granted that I do have that at school as well, but it's good to have a secondary outlet that you can put some of the stuff, that you're learning to work. And over the last weeks, I surprised myself. I mean, I know what I can do, but I still surprised myself at how I can get people to say yes to interviews, like in one shot, So, and that's something that a lot of journalists struggle with, you know, in their careers, working as journalists, and I'm still technically a student, even though I have all this experience, right? So it was really good, and I hope that with the help of Trudy and you guys that we can continue to bring really good content. That is, I would like to call it unapologetic content to some extent, because I don't feel like we should sacrifice our morals and our values and different things just because we're trying to not say certain things. Like when it comes to talking about the fact that we don't get enough maternity leave in Dominica, or when it comes to things like that, people might say, oh, they're talking against the government, or they're talking against this, or we're talking against that. But that is not the intent, at least not my intent, and I know that's not the intent in terms of the mission of the show. We just want to be able to hold whoever is accountable.
Accountable.
Um, I know where you're heading with that, Jael.
I mean, I have to, as a journalist, I have to remain as unbiased as I possibly can. It's hard to be as a journalist, and I've noticed, like in Dominica, not to flack any journalists at all, but we tend to pick a side, and I don't think we should pick a side. I think we should present the facts and let people choose.
Discuss it. Yeah. And I know where you're going because the rest of the production team may not be aware. We had a 2-hour conversation the other night, Trudy,
Yeah.
a few months ago. And let
Yeah.
me tell you, these women, I swear I went through like 6 shows in that show.
Jael, yeah.
They were heated, they were hot going
Jael was firing on all cylinders.
Yes, I know that they are ready to really discuss issues that's affecting women, issues that women want or need a platform to speak on, and we have been mostly silent for many years when it comes to certain issues. So we're hoping that we can have those sort of discussions and bring in people, within particular fields that could probably guide us a bit more. Because yes, we may have our ideas, our own perspectives, but it is important to have the experts on to really explain, how things work. We may not have all of the information that is necessary to make an informed decision. So this is sort of what the show has been about, and where we want to continue to take the show for let's hope for a long time, But
Right.
this is the central idea, the vision. I'm going to share now because we're not going to give all of our information now. We want you to tune in and see what we're going to do. But the vision that we're working with is fostering women-centered discourse and action. And I like that part about action because last week we had about 4 women on a panel, and that conversation continued long into the afternoon, long into the night.
Evening.
Yeah, we realized that hey, these women are really ready to take action on ideas that they believe strongly in, or things topics that they're really concerned about, issues that they're really concerned about. They're ready to take the necessary action. So this is the vision that we want to really move forward with. We're fostering discussions or discuss, but we also want women to be able to use this platform to take action.
Definitely.
Yes, if I'm doing like I have to wave my hand in class or something.
You're doing Zoom too much.
Yes, but I do want to continue with from where Queen left off, in terms of what it is that we would like to see happen with the show. As she mentioned, the fact that action is a big deal. We're hoping that it's not just a case where people will or women will come on and just speak and nothing will come out of it, because I'm sure that we will find that the regular lady who has a personal situation who might come on will definitely need some kind of support. And I was happy to hear the doctor earlier, Dr. Joseph earlier, when she shared on the fact that she encountered a lot of women in a lot of situations, domestic matters, etc., and their children. And so it's going to be vital that we can pick out some of those issues and or matters and see what it is we can do. And that will call for some level of networking, some linkage in with other agencies or the individuals, people here and abroad, I'm sure. But the point is, we're hoping that this is what is going to happen, that women will be given a voice. They will be able to express their own stories. A person's story is a person's story. A person's story may not always be what somebody else might want to hear. It may not always complement somebody else's desires and goals and pleasure. But at the end of the day, their story needs to be told. And once it's told, we're hoping that their needs can be met, if not necessarily by the women to women show, but how can the woman to woman show reach out to an institution, an organization, and or probably partner with them in order to meet that person's need. So I think it's very important that we highlight the fact that apart from the discourse, we would like to see the action coming out of those programs.
That's great. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
No, that's my hope too. That's my hope too. The action aspect of it is a definite need, I believe. And no story is an unimportant story. That's another thing. Like women may feel, this is my story, but nobody cares. Nobody else is going through this, and that's so untrue. So, getting those women-centered stories and calling action to those stories, I really appreciate that vision of the show.
That under word action, I think that's what distinctively make women different from men. Women, so
Oh, Natasha. Natasha boy.
but like, oh yes. So, and what I mean by that is this platform has to be dynamic enough to be able to not just talk about the issues that women face, but to be able to drive networks that can bring the right resources and the right connections that address if it's violence, if it's abuse, if it's a lack of access to funding, if it's just having a voice, if it's mental health, emotional health,
If it's
whatever the
sex,
if it's sex, if it's love, if and when women tend to come together, people can say, "Oh, it's just a bunch of women having a," but action is very important because it allows us to, you know, sort of connect with our community and bring about real change. And I know, JL, you've spoken about being that voice and being objective, but I also think our platform has have a duty of care to present information that is correct. And we don't have, I mean, I don't have time to sit and read all the CARICOM and the OECS and the UNDP and the AIDS and other reports that come out about what governments and civil society and private sector are doing to address like real issues that people are having. I don't have time to be able to read all of that stuff. And sometimes we can make blanket statements. Like Dr. Joseph brought up a really good point, and she wanted to be careful about talking about a system that she had not immersed herself. And I think that type of responsibility is for us as the production team to be able to provide the resources that you are able to continue to be objective, but really call, when there is a gap, call people to action. And so yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you mentioned that, Natasha, because something that I grappled with a lot over the last 2 weeks was actually, I mean, we got a lot of women in Dominica to come on and talk, and I must, I want to say special, thank you to the women, especially the ones in Dominica. I mean, the ones overseas were grateful as well, but people in Dominica were. But I grappled with this a lot because this specific thing that a lot of women felt that they needed to get permission in order to speak. And when I say permission, if I'm a doctor, I went to school to become a doctor, right? And as much as I work for a bigger body, but I should be able to give my opinion based on what I was trained to do, and not necessarily have. And that's how it's considered. That's why Dr. Joseph would come on, irrespective that she works for a specific facility, and there are certain things that she cannot say in respect to that. We had Peju who came on, and she is a social worker. She cannot speak about her work that she does with the association that she does, but she can speak in a capacity as a social worker. And I found it very hard when I heard, because I actually got that feedback from people, that I reached out to, and they were like, I need to get permission from this person or this person. And I'm like, can you just speak in your capacity as a nurse, as a teacher, what is the problem in you speaking in your capacity as a teacher? You don't have to speak about your school or your students, or I'm just drawing a reference, but I feel like we shut ourselves up so much because we're so fearful of who. Like, you go to school to become your teacher. When you did all your schooling, you have your degree. Like, there should be nothing stopping you from speaking in your capacity as a teacher. Right? And like there's too much of this hierarchy and this thing that women have to go through more than men, because they're scared that your first year you're going to be looked at as the woman that trying to fight the system, or mom's more big, she always, why she fat, so and that's what you get, people saying about women who speak up, and we need to start speaking up. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of shite that we don't necessarily like, but we deal with it. Doesn't mean that we like it, but we deal with it, right? And I consider myself somewhat fortunate to be part of two societies, Dominica and Canada. Canada allows me, even as a Canadian citizen, to hold two passports. I'm allowed to, as a Canadian citizen, I can also, speak on things where that's dear to me because as much as I might be a Canadian citizen, my heart is in Dominica. My umbilical cord is in Dominica. My both parents served, right? My both parents served, for quite a few years, in Dominica. My sister's still there, and my partner is still in Dominica. So at the end of the day, my interest is in things Dominica, and I want us as women to advance, but advance in a positive way and in a positive way. And so many brilliant Dominican women doing so many amazing things all over the world. Like Queen,
all over the world.
To connect with people, and we're like, but we have such intelligent women from Dominica. I mean, not to shut out the other Caribbean islands, but we just special,
At the end of the 2 weeks, actually, I think I mentioned that to you, Jael. I felt like women, we are like super women. I mean, we handle so many things, and hearing the stories from Dominicans and having to connect with them even before they came onto the show and discuss with them and hearing all of what they have been involved in was really an eye opener. I mean, women are involved in so many different things, handling so many issues at the same time, and they're still able to produce. They're still able to be productive.
We don't got no choice, girlfriend.
We just have to do it, right? Done. And I mean, it was really amazing to see. Yes, we want to shout out our Caribbean sisters and our sisters internationally, but I think we need to recognize our local women as well, who are the business owners, the mothers, the civil engineers, the teachers. They're holding down the fort. And I feel here, for the past 2 weeks and moving forward, well, the past 2 weeks, we were able to highlight that. And moving forward, I hope that we can continue to highlight this. We're moving in and out from work, actually. I know Miss Paul is actually at work, has to continue with her work. Truly, you still have to go to work after that,
Yes, I do.
It's her birthday. Okay?
Yeah. But I'm making a celebrity. I'll make a birthday celebrity appearance at with Jael. Don't worry. I mean,
you go in there and be like, "Hey, this is the woman show. I really."
So I wanted to quickly plug in that I'm happy that Queen mentioned the regular ladies, the regular women, that the everyday woman. We really want to ensure that these everyday women are given an opportunity to speak, to share their hearts with the general public and with the world, truly. And so we've had some extraordinary, phenomenal, professional career women, and I'm sure we will have a whole lot more of these as well. But we certainly want to ensure that, and Natasha had a very interesting story of one person that she's hoping will come on at some point. I won't call the person's name as yet because, of course, we have to do the groundwork. But the point I'm making is it's the everyday person. Like you would say, the average Joe for the male, well, the average Jane then. Woman who is making wonders happen, miracles with her children, her own personal life. But nobody knows that story. And everybody sees her, but nobody knows what she's going through back there, in order to let it happen. And we want to ensure that these people as well are given an opportunity and get the opportunity to share their story, not merely to share their story, but to inspire somebody else and to also find some sort of motivation from the fact that they were able to do that, because some doors just could open in their direction as a result. So I'm really hoping, I'm looking forward to this. I'm excited to see what happens. I know that we have two great hosts. If I can say hosts, yes, hostesses, is that the term? I don't know. But we have two wonderful women, brave. I read some stuff from Trudy. I have not given any responses yet, but very interesting. And I can tell you, you people out there, there is a lot that is going to come forth that we can all learn from, grow brave together, and be able to express our womanness, even in a more finesse, in a smarter way, and in a way that is going to be enlightening to everybody. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with you two ladies. We will be in the background for the most part, doing what we can to ensure that this happens. But we're proud of you guys and looking forward to a very successful program.
I want to say to Queen. She doesn't like to get called out, but I don't care. I'm going to call her out. She's a fellow Korean. We don't like to be in the spotlight too much. Yeah, right. I just want to say, Queen has been, a lot of times people have the misconception that women are always against each other, that we're always fighting each other, that we always, I remember a friend saying to me, women, we dress for women, we don't dress for men. Women do there's this thing that people say, oh, women always are angry with each other. They always have to find something to fight with each other about. Oh, too much estrogen in the office. You hear that all the time. And working with Queen over the last 2 weeks, because this was who I was directly in contact with, like too much a little, because we were talking like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a day, right? Like to the point where WhatsApp was suggesting, that when I open my thing, her name would be at the top, like I'm talking to her man, but it was a constant conversation and constantly sharing, constantly wanting to know what is the next move, what are we doing next? Because a lot of it was just like on like random, like it was very like, hey, let's do this. Let's we need to get this guest. Okay, you have a contact, this person. Oh, I know somebody that know. But I just want to comment her on how she was able to manage through this, and really offer a lot of assistance, and not just when I say assistant in terms of putting it together. The show could message me in the morning, you up, you good? I was like, woman, leave me alone. I had the toilet. But you see, these things matter.
Yeah.
These things matter because why it matters is that it shows a level of care. It shows that it's not just a business for her, or just running a matter of running a business and get it. But are you okay, Jael? You need to get some rest. You haven't slept. Stuff like that. That was part of the conversations that we were having, and I just want to tell her, thank you for trusting me to carry through the show and always encouraging me. And we as women need to really take that on. I find a lot of Caribbean women, we can be very negative,
Yeah.
we can be very critical and critical for the wrong reasons. And if in everything that I do or I try to think, how would I feel if it was done to me? And when you think about that first, it will make you do a second, you probably think, maybe I should take a turn around, and I just want to say, thanks to Queen and thanks to Trudy. I look forward. Trudy, I look
Right.
forward. No tears, no tears. I mean, it was my first time meeting you doing this whole woman to woman
It
thing.
was a pleasure working with you. I love working. That's why we have to continue doing this.
Yeah, like she was like, so Jael, she give me a whole long story, Queen. Let me give all you her babe. No. Right? About how good the show was and blah blah blah. And so here, this is me. It's Friday. It's my last day. Yes. I'm excited. And she gives me this long story that's probably like 15 minutes long. Right? And then she says, with that said, Jael, would you consider? Oh my God! I'm like, so you butter me up, you put butter on the
Yeah.
Make sure all the edges had butter.
Let me tell you. And I imagine I'm talking to her and I have one in my hand at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? And she gives me all this long story.
It's a pleasure. Let us not forget Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Lennox Lawrence, the CEO of Vibes. He was really instrumental in putting this together, and we do want to recognize him and thank him, for the platform, the opportunity where we can really do this. I don't want to forget the gentlemen in the background. I'm looking at them now, and I know that they're hearing me, right, guys? Mr. Nathan, Mr. Derry Ogis. So I just want to say thank you for your assistance, for always helping us to connect and get this done and really produce this wonderful show. Our team is larger than what you see, so I don't want to forget anybody. So thank you to all those who made this possible. I also want to say thank you to the former host and co-host on the show. I don't want to forget them. They did a lovely job, tremendous job, and I hope that in the future we can work with them as well. But as we move forward, I again want to welcome Trudy. Jael, let me welcome you back. And my team, let me just say thank you again for coming on board. And I look forward to us doing really great things for women, by women.
Bye, women. Perfect.
Okay, guys, we gotta wrap up. We're taking over the People's Show, and it's time for us
Yes.
to connect back to radio. I know Shuma comes on in a little bit, right? Shuma Alfred will be coming on in a little bit of the show. Thanks, guys, again for the opportunity, and thank you, guys, all those of you who tuned in, who will continue tuning in every single day. Every single day, I don't think all of us will be there. Like some days it might be Trudy alone, some days it might be Trudy. You can do that alone. You can do it alone. That's what you do.
Of course.
I can. I'll put on my big girl hat.
So fancy.
She did that today. Today is her birthday, so she just. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. And I understand that we might have somebody else joining us, but we're not gonna say nothing else. You're just gonna have to tune in every day so you can know who will be the third person joining the Woman to Woman show.
Secret.
Secret. Secret among first is bad. All right, so we gotta disconnect. You guys are everything's done. Everybody said what they have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna be.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye. The Trudy is gonna be just the two of us for a little bit, and I'm excited to have you on, along with me and whoever else is joining us. I think you will bring a lot of value to the show, and I'm grateful. And I want to tell you, enjoy your birthday. Make sure you drink some wine. Make sure you have a good time, and enjoy your day. I mean, you only live once, right?
Only live once. Jail, I will be enjoying my day. Thank you so much for those wishes. I think starting off my day on Woman to Woman was the best possible start. So we're good to go for the rest of the day.
Good to go. We're going to take you back to Master Control. Thanks, guys. All those of you who tuned in to the Woman to Woman show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Your favorite radio station on Digicel as well, channel 57. On social media, you can get us everywhere. YouTube, YouTube. So tune in tomorrow again for another exciting show. We hope that we can never fail you, and we'll always bring you the content you truly want to listen to every single day. Bye, guys. Bye, Trudy.
Bye. Bye.
We wake you up to take you up, so stay up like a champion.
L8 Jupiter is now open